What's up YouTube, it's your old school expert, and today we are continuing our little blast from the past, our trip down memory lane with the complete set of Metal Raiders. Now Metal Raiders was released in June of 2002 and was a very hyped up set because Legend of Blue Eyes was such a successful set. So there was a lot of expectations out of Metal Raiders, and in my opinion, it truly delivered. So let's get right into Metal Raiders and talk a little bit about it. So you open up the first page, as usual, you've got some big cards for this set. The first 9 cards include Gate Guardian. This is a nice kind of faded Gate Guardian. You can see a little better there. And then Summon Skull, which is actually my favorite card out of this entire set. I love the artwork of Summon Skull. It played a big role in the anime as well as one of Yugi's boss monsters. And so it's just a really, really nostalgic card for me. I remember, even though the Summon Skull came out in the starter deck first, it came out as a common. So when Metal Raiders was released, the starter deck had already come out in March, but Metal Raiders came out with the ultra rare copy of this and the same for Change of Heart. And I just thought this was so much more incredible looking than the common version. And I fell in love with it as a kid and always wanted it. So that is the first page. I'm going to try to point out some of the short prints because there's always kind of some discussion, and maybe some people don't really know what short prints are or which ones they are. So Larvae Moth, that might be a short print. I don't think it is though, but it might be. It might be. So moving on, we got Harpy Lady Sisters. Big fan of that card. That's one of the first holos I ever pulled from this set. So this was it was the summer of 2002, and I just remember I didn't have much to do because I was waiting for school to start. I still had about a month and a half, 2 months of summer vacation left. So it was a really, all I really had to do was buy Yu-Gi-Oh cards. And so whenever I had allowance money, I would go and get as many packs of Metal Raiders as I could, first edition, of course, from the local comic shop. And so I pulled a couple of Harpy Lady Sisters back then. Cocoon of Evolution is an is a short print. It actually might be a super short print, which is like a short print on steroids. It's very hard to pull. Mask of Darkness saw some play. This set had a ton of good trap cards, and if you ever wanted to get one of those back from the graveyard, Mask of Darkness was the way to do it. White Magical Hat also saw some play because hand control was a big deal back then. So anytime you could boost his attack or get a clear attack, a direct attack, because he only has 1,000 attack, and discard a card from your opponent's hand, that was huge. Moving on, we got Beast Skull Dragon, such a beautiful card. I really wish this had an alternate artwork. I think it could be drawn even better, but I don't think they've come out with one yet. So it is a cool looking card, but again, I think it could have some better artwork. That's just my personal opinion. We got a Sangha of the Thunder that's also a faded. You can tell it's faded compared to this one. And what that pretty much means, it's not sun fading from what we can tell. It's likely that the magenta color of the color strip was running low. And so that anything that used that magenta would also be kind of low or faded. So the stars, as you can see, they use some orange, which would have used the magenta strip. That is clearly not available. So the whole card, like the border, it's just missing any kind of redness that it would normally have. So it's kind of cool. And Metal Raiders had quite a bit of that going on. You could see that in fusions too. They'll be almost like a pinkish color rather than a purple. It's pretty interesting. And you can tell it's not sun fading because if it were sun fading, then the black words here, Song of the Thunder, or the text and stuff, that would be faded as well, but it's not. It's just as bold as it is on the non-faded card. So moving on, we got Suijin, of course. So we had, unfortunately, they're broken up. Sangha, Kazijin, and Suijin, the 3 pieces of the Gate Guardian. The Gate Guardian was a pretty awful card if you wanted to play it. It wasn't very playable, but it was very awesome. It was the biggest monster out there for a long, long time. It's really until they released Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. A year or 2 years later. It took a while for Blue Eyes Ultimate to come to the TCG. So Gate Guardian was the big boss monster, and even though it was a terrible card, it was really hard to summon, it was just cool, and it was a secret rare. So we've got a lot of short prints on this page, so any of the cards that attack directly, this is the first time that any card was introduced that attacks life points directly. All of them are short printed. Steel Scorpion is not, but Mystic Lamp, Lagul, Uguchi, and Jinzo number 7. Jinzo number 7 is the best of the direct attackers. There's a few more too, so we'll get to those in a minute. It has the highest base attack at 500. Magician of Faith, that card was such a good card for such a long time. It was competitive all the way through a GOAT format and a little bit beyond that. I mean, it's an excellent card. It was even, I think it was banned for a while, and then they put it, I mean, now it's at 3, but it took a long time to come back down to 3 because it was such a good card. But eventually they started banning all the good Magic cards, and Magician of Faith became less usable. And slower. Flip effects are slower because you got to set it and then wait and hope it doesn't get destroyed. Rainbow Flower is another short print. It's a direct attacker. This set also introduced a bunch of fusion monsters that were much better. Still not great, but much better than LOB. And they were commons instead of rares. So we got another short print here, Queen's Double. And many more effect monsters in this set than in LOB. LOB only had about 5 effect monsters, and Metal Raiders has several, dozens of effect monsters. So this page has some cool stuff. We got Tribute to the Doomed. That was basically a staple for quite a while. Really good card, just a great way to destroy a monster, and you get to choose which monster you want to destroy, so very good card. Change of Heart, of course, this was released in Starter Deck, I think Starter Deck Yugi, but so it was already out there, it was already being played, but they introduced the ultra rare copy of it, so that's pretty cool. I mean, that was a good collector's item even back then. And then Baby Dragon, we got a nice little short print there. It's a card that Joey would definitely appreciate. And we have one of my personal favorites. You got Time Wizard up here. Time Wizard is an amazing card. It wasn't super used back then. Some decks ran it like, it was kind of like a Raigeki, but you had to flip a coin. And you could, if you called it wrong, you destroyed all of your own monsters and you took life points equal to half their combined attacks. So that was pretty bad. But if you called it right, you got a free Raigeki out of it, which was huge back then. So I always ran a Time Wizard when I could, just to try to get lucky. And then this set also introduced Kuriboh, which is one of Yugi's favorite monsters. And you know, there's other iterations of Kuriboh, like Wing Kuriboh level 10 as the game went on. So Kuriboh is definitely a fan favorite, and this was the first set that introduced him, and he is the original hand trap. Yep, I said it. Also, Sangan, a card that had to get errated because it was so good and was on the ban list for a very long time. So Sangan was originally introduced in Metal Raiders, and when it came out, you could have 2 Sangan and 2 Witch of the Black Forest. Castle Dark Illusion, this is another card that has really odd attack and defense stats. It's got 920 attack, 1930 defense. So again, one of those rare, very few, there are very few, maybe 3 or 4 cards in the entire game that where their attack and defense don't end in a multiple of 50 or in 0. So put that back in there. Got Catapult Turtle, another card that Yugi used in the anime. A couple of my favorites are Dream Clown and Crass Clown. And these 2 guys are also short printed, as well as Castle Dark Illusions. This might even be a super short print, but it is definitely short printed. Let's see, nothing great on this page. Princess of Tsurugi, one of the first burn cards along with Tremendous Fire. Tremendous Fire, much better burn card than what had been released in Legend of Blue Eyes. And then Princess of Tsurugi was a really good burn card for when your opponent was setting a bunch of trap cards. Jirai Gumo was a really good attacker, very aggressive, 2200 attack, only 100 defense, but that didn't really matter because you're not going to put him in defense mode. But you had to flip a coin every time you attacked, and if you got it wrong, you lost half your life points. So the good part is that you always have half your life points to pay. The bad part is you run out of life points really fast. You run them down to almost nothing very quickly. So there were decks that ran 3 of these guys, and they were kind of suicidal decks, but I mean, it was the strongest 4-star monster at the time. Got Shadow Ghoul from the anime, pretty nostalgic card. Thunder Dragon, this was a borderline staple. A lot of people ran this. 3 of them, you had to run 3 because it was great fodder for Tribute to the Doomed, or Tribute to the Doomed, sorry. So that was a really good card to have, plus for Magic Jammer. So it had a couple of purposes. Basically, you just discarded it, added 2 more from your deck to your hand. That's exactly what it would do. So again, it gave you discard fodder. And then 7-color fish really helped solidify beatdowns at the time, because the only other 1800 attack 4-star monster with no effect was La Jinn, the Mystical Genie of the Lamp, and that came and started at Kaiba. So this, and you can only run 3, so this added 3 more 1800 attack 4-star monsters with no effect. So that was a very good card. These were about $1 each when Metal Raiders came out, because they were very competitive. Lots of people wanted to play with them. Some fusions here. Let's see. Nothing crazy on this page. A lot of the rares in this set have the ability to raise the attack of all of their attribute by 500 on the field, or is it just on your side of the field, one of the two? And they lower like the opposite. So like he raises all lights and then lowers all dark monsters by 400, I think. Yeah, pretty interesting. Cannon Soldier is a cool card. Lots of 1-turn kills with that later on, but it's a good card. Muka Muka. Dark Elf was another card that was like a pseudo staple. A lot of people ran it, but it costs 1,000 life points to attack, so that adds up pretty quickly. Similar to Jirai Gumo, it's a big beat stick at 2,000, a little weaker than Jirai, but you also only pay 1,000, whereas with Jirai, you flip the coin and you might end up paying half, which could be well over 1,000. But these were pretty popular. And then, of course, Witch of the Black Forest was a very popular card. We got Lava Battle Guard, one of Joey's cards, and then Swamp Battle Guard somewhere in here. We might have skipped them already, I don't know. Wasn't really paying attention. So we got a Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon, pretty cool card. And Gazelle, that is a super short print for sure. That's really hard to pull. You probably have a better chance of pulling any holo than you do of that. These are about 1 per box. So if you're just opening 1 pack, you're probably not going to get a Gazelle. This is a nice faded Garnessia Elefantis, pretty cool looking card. And we are almost done with Metal Raiders, which actually is the largest of the classic Yu-Gi-Oh sets. I think there's like 138 cards, something like that. What is Thousand Dragon? He's 143. Wow, that's a lot of cards. So this was a huge set. Barrel Dragon was a pretty usable card. It did require 2 tributes though, and it only had 2,600 attack, so not super strong, but had a great effect for the time. And then Solemn Judgment wasn't really used back then, but later on it was used a lot. And even today, this card is used a lot. It's a very good card. It pretty much negates anything but a monster effect. I mean, that's essentially what it does. And you pay half your life points, which again, you always have half. Magic Jammer was excellent because there were so many good, powerful magic cards, especially when Magic Ruler came out. And then you use those Thunder Dragons to discard with this. So it was a great combo. 7 tools, kind of saw some play. Good trap stopper, but once Jinzo came out, you didn't really need this. Horn of Heaven saw a lot of play later on, like much later on, like in the 5Ds. Even maybe a little bit in the GX era, but like 5Ds and so forth, you saw some Horn of Heaven getting played. It's a pretty good card. The Unhappy Maiden is another short print. And then here we had some cool equip cards that were like debilitating equip cards. First time that had happened. So you got German Infection, which I think every turn a non-machine type monster will lose 300 attack that it's equipped to. So that's kind of cool. You equip it to your opponent's card. Paralyzing Potion, a monster equipped with this cannot declare an attack. And then Ring of Magnetism, if this is equipped to a monster, I think you have to equip it to your monster. No, it just says a monster equipped with this card. Decreases its attack and defense by 500 points. All your opponent's monsters must attack the card. So that's interesting. You can use it on your own monsters or on your opponents. And then, of course, Mirror Force. Mirror Force was just an outstanding staple card for such a long time. It was very, very powerful. And it stayed, I think actually it might have spent 1 trip on the ban list, but it stayed at 1 for pretty much its entire run until, I don't know, a few years ago. I think maybe in like 2013, 2014, they pulled it off from 1, I think it went to 3. So, oh, and then Heavy Storm, another definite staple, especially because there's really no other magic or trap removal. There was a remove trap, but that card was pretty terrible. So really this was what you relied on. You could use 2 of them, so get rid of that back row. And then Thousand Dragons, so that kind of sums up Metal Raiders with, I guess that's the best, or one of the best fusions in the set, but it's definitely not a great card for dueling with. So hope you guys enjoyed the Metal Raiders set. I know for many people this is their favorite set, it's their most nostalgic set. It's my second favorite set after Legend of Blue Eyes. I love Metal Raiders. It's a really fun set. It brought a lot of different techniques to the game, and it changed it a whole lot. So I'm glad we got Metal Raiders, and hopefully, I don't know, one day maybe I can open up some Metal Raiders again. But thanks for watching, guys. I hope y'all enjoyed the video, and as always, stay tuned for more awesome Yu-Gi-Oh videos.